Greetings viewers, Eric the Car Guy here, also known as ETCG1 on this channel, and if it's your birthday, I want to personally wish you a happy birthday. I am sitting where my new engine will be, I hope in the not too distant future. At this point, the cat is out of the bag, and everyone knows that I'm doing a turbo build for this sleeper Fairmont. I kind of always had forced induction in my mind. In fact, the first thought that I had was to put an EcoBoost into this car, but the thing of it was, I couldn't necessarily find anybody to help me put together a standalone system to run it. And that is a challenge. In fact, just last night I was watching old episodes of Fast and Loud, and they had put a Hellcat engine into a 67 Dart, and they ran into the exact problems I knew that I would run into if I decided to go with an EcoBoost in this car. And I don't have like super geeks that I can call up and fly out here to help me out necessarily. So I decided to go for something simpler, and originally I was going to go for just a regular old V8 build and carbureted, stick it in here, and away we go. The more I thought about it, the more I said, you know what, I think forced induction would be cool. And I seriously looked at superchargers for a little while and came to the conclusion that I like the turbo better because a V8 just in general has a lot of bottom end torque, and a turbo is something that seems to come in later in the power curve. So what I was trying to create was a long flat power delivery from the engine. So I decided to go with the turbo. Now the debate is, and this came up in the comments recently, and I wish I would have been more prepared and looked up what comments those were, but I just posted the video about the engine disassembly for the 302 today. This is Friday, this is May 27th. And I was reading through the comments, and there was some question as whether or not I was going for EFI or fuel injected. There was one commenter, and I wish I remembered the name, but I do remember the comment. It was a long comment. It was actually a comment to somebody else's comment that I'd made about my opinions on going with fuel injection, or going with carburation over fuel injection. So the crux of this video really revolves around the fact that I'm going carbureted with forced induction. And in this day and age, I know that everybody's all into fuel injection. But I decided to go with the carburetor for a few reasons. Well, the first reason is I like carburetors. You know, I don't mind them at all. And there's question about whether or not it will provide an adequate or an accurate fuel delivery system, and I would say it will. And to ensure that, I have this, which is a wideband setup. So this engine is going to get a wideband so that I don't grenade the thing. So I've got that in mind, and I've always had that in mind because I wanted to be able to monitor the air-fuel mixture to make sure that I was doing good. So in essence, I've got a lot of things going around fuel injection. And I've got electronic ignition. In fact, I'm using an ignition system that has a boost retard setup, so that the more boost that I put into it, the more it takes timing out of the engine so that I don't destroy it. Because when you go forced induction, it creates some unique problems. But getting back to the topic at hand, which is the choice between fuel injection and carburation. I chose carburation, one, because like I said, I like carburetors, but also because I did a whole bunch of research on this. And I can't say that I have any real world experience to go with it at this point. I will admit that. But part of what I'm doing right here, guess where I'm sitting? I'm sitting where this engine that we're building is going, and I will have real world experience. That being said, everything that I was reading was saying that carburetors are not a bad choice for forced induction, but you have to get a special carburetor, and I am using a special carburetor. I'm using a Demon 750, a Demon blow-through carburetor, I should say. It's a special carburetor specifically designed to work with forced induction going through the top of the carburetor. So if you run a supercharger and you put the carburetor on top of the supercharger, it doesn't matter, you don't need a blow-through. But if you're gonna take your extra charge and shove it through the carburetor, you got to have a special carburetor to do that. Whether that's like a Paxton style supercharger or a turbocharger, either way, you need a special carburetor for that. And when the carburetor comes in, I'll talk a little bit more about that. But carburetor technology has gotten so much better. And the arguments were, if I remember correctly, as far as having to change out jets anytime you change altitude and all that. And I actually brought this up. I talked to the people at Holley who make this carburetor. Holley owns Demon, by the way. I talked to them, and I've been at this for a while. I mean, you just found out today, but me, I've been researching this, and I've been working on this for over 2 years now. But that being said, I talked to the people there and I expressed that very concern. I said, I want to drive this thing across the country. I want to turn the key, I want to just get in and I want to drive it. And I was told that a lot of people have daily drivers with carburetors and they change elevations without issue. So they don't necessarily have to change jets and all those types of things to make it all work. But the carburetor I'm getting, even if I do need to change jets, is one of those Holley style carburetors that is really easy to pop the fuel bowls off and change the jets out of. I mean, they make it so that it's serviceable. It's not like an off-the-shelf carburetor from a manufacturer where you've got to do some work in order to get in there and make those adjustments. No, these things are race carburetors. They're made to be tuned quickly. And because I have this wideband setup, it's not hard to figure out if I've made a good change or a not good change. Also, this engine, the reason why it's not here is it's still at the machine shop. It's not fully assembled at this time, but when it is fully assembled, the next step is to take it to the dynamometer. And on the dynamometer, it will be tuned. So that's been the plan all along, is to have the thing tuned on a dynamometer so that when I put it in this engine compartment, it's going to be ready to go. I want to keep on this topic as far as carburation versus fuel injection. With multi-port fuel injection, that injects the fuel right behind the valve. And with forced induction, the charge coming in through the intake is heated up. That's one of the reasons there's going to be a big old intercooler sitting right in front of me to help cool the charge before it goes in. But going through a blow-through carburetor, it's going to pick up some of that fuel on the way through, and as a result, it's going to cool that charge a little bit before it gets to the cylinders, more so than it would having compressed air all the way to the backside of the intake valve. The next response to that, I'm sure you're going to say, is what about throttle body injection? Excellent point. Something, once again, that I've considered, but I keep coming back to the blow-through carburetor. And in fact, I don't know if they make those TBI systems for a blow-through type of setup. As I said, the carburetor that I'm getting is specifically designed so that you don't blow the seals out of it, so that it's designed for forced induction. So I'm not really sure if you can get a throttle body injection system that has that capability. The other part of it is as far as carburation goes, yes, fuel injection has the potential to make more power. But if you think about it, and I've always thought about it this way, fuel injection makes power based on the program that you put into it. And I realize that the program is very tunable and you can go in there and make adjustments and make it better. I get it. In fact, the people that are running race cars and everything are loving fuel injection. I totally get it. But carburetors aren't limited by their program. They're limited by their size, they're limited by jets and things like that. So in a sense, they have a mechanical program. But the amount of air that goes through the carburetor is what you have, and it brings a calibrated amount of fuel along with it, and that's it. So it's not like you need to tell a computer to deliver this much fuel at this RPM so that you don't run lean or whatever. The carburetor does this automatically by design. Carburetors have been around longer than fuel injection. Am I saying fuel injection is bad? No. I'm saying carburetors are not bad. Carburetors are not evil. And there seems to be, at least in the responses that I got from the individuals that I was conversing with, that carburetors are evil, they're old, they're dead technology. And in some ways I would agree. However, modern carburetors, particularly the one that I'm going with, once again, specifically designed to do this task. And the engineering and machining that we have today really make it so that those carburetors are certainly a viable option. I say, chill out. We'll see what happens. I have an open mind here. Now, if I find that the carburetor is inadequate, I have to keep adjusting it or something like that, that's hot rodding. That's the essence of this. It's not turnkey. This is a custom build. This is something that's being made. This is something that is unique. It only exists here. And that, to me, is awesome. So I don't mind the challenges of having to swap out jets in my carburetor to get it to run better. In fact, I look forward to those challenges. I talked about in another video that I thought about changing the direction of my channel to doing builds because of that very thing, because I enjoy those challenges. Once again, I'm not saying fuel injection is bad. What I'm saying is I did not choose fuel injection. I chose a carburetor, and I'm happy with that choice. I will find out how happy I will be with that choice once the carburetor's in here. And all I'm saying is give it a chance. Give carburetors a chance. They're not bad. And in fact, they can be had very cheaply. And if you know how to set them up, they're easy to just bolt on and you have a viable fuel delivery system. So don't write off the carburetors. And as far as fuel injection goes versus carburetor, in this case, where I'm sitting right now, we'll find out. But I know that a monster of an engine is being built and has been built. And I'm very much looking forward to cradling it into this engine compartment where I sit, where my butt is now falling asleep. Therefore, I'm going to close this video out and put the discussion back to you. I ask that we remain civil. You know, I'm an open-minded guy. I don't mind if you disagree with me. I realize that that's the world, that's how it works. But if you start resorting to name calling, if you start resorting to that type of thing, I'm not gonna take you seriously. That's something kids do on the playground. If that's the way you want me to see you, then start acting like a douchebag in the comments. But if you've got a different opinion, I'm all ears, and in this case, all eyes. If you have automotive questions, please head over to ericthecarguy.com. There'll be a link in the description to make it super easy for you. Google+, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you wish to connect with me socially. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.